Hello and welcome to The Spirit Safe. My name's Rob. Thank you very much indeed for joining me and Happy New Year. Now, there aren't very many Scotch whiskies that you can buy in Canada, particularly in BC, but you can't really get hold of in Scotland. But here is one very, very unusual. It is the Macaloney Twa Cask, cask strength blended malt from Islay. Macaloneys, they own the Victoria Caledonian distillery, which is a distillery run by a couple of Scotsmen who live in Canada on Vancouver Island, and they're producing a Scotch style Canadian whiskey. So it's all single malt in a pot still. They've got, I think, an ex-Lagavulin distiller, so it's a big deal, really, for Vancouver Island to have this this distillery. And they produce beer as well, Twa Dogs, which I enjoy. But one thing that they did, and this is what this bottle is they bought some casks from Scotland of Scotch whisky, and this is so they blended two casks from the same region, and this is the Islay version, which is a cask of Caol Ila and a cask of Bunnahabhain. And if you buy them at the BC liquor store, you can get them at 45% ABV. But if you go to the distillery, as I did 2 years ago, you can pick up the distillery exclusive 56.7% ABV. Doesn't come with an age statement, but it is non-chill filtered, and I'm pretty sure natural colour as well. So I wanted to buy this. I think I spent about 110 Canadian. A couple of reasons why I bought it. First of all, to support Victoria Caledonian in what they are doing. I've supported them in buying their beer. They tried to get me to buy Cask, but my wife would absolutely murder me if I bought a Cask at a distillery. And they said, it's fine, she's not going to know because the Cask stays here. So she'll find out one way or another. So I wanted to support them. I buy their beer. I've tried their whiskey at a couple of festivals. It's still young, but it's getting there. And I wanted to buy this blended malt as well. So I waited quite a while before I opened it. Caol Ila and Bunnahabhain are two distilleries I really enjoy. I've reviewed 3 Bunnahabhains, I think. Maybe 4 now. The 12, the 18, the Caol and the single sherry cask. So yeah, 4 Bunnahabhains and only 1 Caol Ila, the 12. But I enjoy both of those distilleries, so I thought this would be a good purchase. Let's see what we have. Very, very spirity. Bits of caramel, toffee, delightful malt. Red and green apples. Hints of sherbet coming through, but the very high alcohol content on the nose. It's a big alcohol note, but it's smooth. It's not. It's rounded. It's not a jagged, horrible, spiky alcohol note. But this is young whiskey. It's definitely a spirit-led experience, at least on the nose. Giving away a little bit of bitterness, maybe. But interesting mixed cereal notes. Pleasant citrus, but there could be something a little bit cheesy in there as well. An odd dairy component that I can't really explain. Peat smoke, you don't detect an awful lot on the nose at full strength. It's certainly not the... there is some peat in it, definitely, but it's not the dominant character, at least on the nose. Some eucalyptus, barley sugar. Coastal. Feels almost more grain than malt because of that unusual cereal character and the fact that it's really... The alcohol signature seems more grainy than malty. Sweet mint, like mint imperials. Anise, a little bit of chocolate orange. Granola. Interesting, but I'm slightly thrown by this being a Caol Ila and Bunnahabhain blend because it doesn't display a lot of characteristics from either of those two distilleries. Or maybe it does, but it's not emblematic of those two distilleries, at least on the nose. Palate, sweet and spicy at full strength. Chocolate orange, big grainy alcohol note, biscuity, cheesecake, rough oat cakes, honey, toffee. It's grainy, citrusy. It is a young whiskey, there's no getting away from that. Honey, spices. It's honeyed, but it's hot. So normally a honeyed whiskey tends to slip down nicely, but this is maybe a little too hot to palate. Milk chocolate, oak, new make kind of character. Okay, let's give it a couple of teaspoons of water and we'll see how we do. 2 full teaspoons. Oak and a pink grapefruit starts to come to the core. Light fruits, apples, underripe pear, overripe banana, lemon drizzle cake, cardamom bombs, green candies, starting to give off a more coastal character as well. Hint of lime. Pink lady apples. The palate with water, peat, more the Caol Ila, peat, taking on a more creamy mouthfeel, granola, honey. It's not as sharp or as astringent as it was without the water. Still a little bit spirity, but a generous amount of water brings that down quite nicely. Lemon curd, cereals, barley sugar, verdant green notes. Now a smoky and Smoky and coastal tang is starting to appear on the nose now, after a bit of water and a bit of time. The finish: dried apricot, chocolate, pickled ginger, smoke, sea salt, cappuccino, and cereals. This is interesting. I don't think I would buy it again, simply because I've been thrown a little bit by seeing Caol Ila and Bunnahabhain on the label, and it's quite difficult to really pick out the things that I love about those distilleries in this blended malt. But it is pretty good, and it's getting better as the bottle goes down. So if you see this, if you happen to be at the distillery, if you're in Victoria, do pop into Victoria Caledonian Distillery. They do a fantastic tour. Be careful, because they will try and get you to buy a cask, which I managed to avoid this year. But if I go back in future years, I might not manage to avoid it any longer. This is not a bad blended malt, but it's sort of teaching me that maybe, the idea of this just being 2 casks, it probably takes more than just 2 casks to make the average fully rounded blended malt that we enjoy. But this is interesting. It's been an education. I'm glad I bought it. Happy to support the guys at Victoria Caledonian Distillery. Like, comment and subscribe, and hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers. Bye bye.